Today's video, I will be responding to a popular subscriber request. You may be wondering what it is, and what that is a lot of people have been wondering how I pick the cars I pick at the auction. So today's video is going to go over how I pick them and some things to watch out for when buying cars from the auction, salvage cars, cars that have been wrecked, anything going through the auction. There are a lot of things to be wary about. So we're going to be going over that, or I'm going to be going over that, I guess, and you guys are going to be kind of getting some insight into how to keep yourself safe. I think the easiest way to present this video would be through the screenshot feature on my laptop, and we're going to head over to that in a second. But before we do that, in this video, I'm going to tell you the one simple trick, and it's going to be somewhere in the video, the one simple trick, and it's very, very simple, to keep yourself from buying something that is totally destroyed. And there are a lot of cars that people kind of fix to look good in pictures, and then when you buy them, they are just disasters. And you don't want to get yourself into that, because it'll be really deep in your pockets to fix one of those, or you'll just end up using it as parts, or you'll just sit there forever because you won't be able to fix it. Since I did just complete the F350 build, we'll check out some F350s and see what is going on with them. So I like to look at the buy it nows first. I think that's the best plan of attack when you're trying to get a truck from the auction. Buy it nows are always a lot easier to get. You don't have to bid on them, and sometimes the bids do go crazy when stuff goes to the auction because people start fighting. If you can get a buy it now, it's probably the best thing you could do, just depending on the price. That's how I got my truck, and I also got the Hellcat that way because both were going crazy when I was bidding on them on other trucks and cars. So let's check out this one. It's 26.5 and it's a 2017, and let's see what we think about it. So, okay, here we go. So let's see. This truck is pretty hammered, so you can definitely tell this one you probably don't want to get to fix. You probably want to just get it for parts. And I mean, 26.5 buy it now isn't too horrible on it. Airbags popped. Looks like the seats didn't pop, so that's probably a plus if you wanted to get some seats for a truck. Yeah, it just looks like the curtains. So this thing is a little bit more hammered than I would ever purchase to fix. So we'll just write this one off right now. And it's a really nice truck. I mean, it looks like it's a King Ranch almost with the seats and something like that. Maybe it's it's probably a King Ranch, I'd say. Let's see if we can find the emblem. Yeah, you can't see it. So yeah, this is a little bit too smashed for me, so we'll get it out of that one. And let's go. There should be 4 buy it nows. I don't know why the feature isn't working on their website, but here is one for $9,000. This is probably a gas truck right here. That one is hit super hard too. You can see it had a push bar right there, and yeah, that's probably something that would be good for. Man, I even broke the back window. That'd probably be good for like if you needed a bed, especially because it's so cheap. And I mean, let's see, the engine probably isn't any good. So actually this one right here, since it is a base model and it is a diesel, but it probably damaged the engine with how that push bar is. And you can see right here is pieces of the intake, and the engine's right behind that. And if it gets that far in, it will damage the actual front cover, or it could break pieces off the engine. The engine block is cast iron, but when you do get into hits this hard, where it looks like it rolled the frame up right here, you don't really want to kind of mess with them. So these push bars are great for hitting deer, but if you hit anything significant, they just really destroy the frame. And then actually getting this thing off of there to get to the engine would be a whole nother animal itself. So we'll get out of this one too. This one, it looks like it's cheap, but that's probably why it hasn't sold yet. Here's one for 19,000. That doesn't look bad. 18 grand, or hold on, 19 grand. It's a 18. We're getting out of hand. It has so it has the power steps on it. It was a rollover. It has let's see what we got. So it's a salvage title. It looks like it was. They have it in a field right now. Looks like it bent, probably bent the axle. I mean, drive shaft sticking out of it, so it might have broke the tranny. It's a King Ranch. I mean, this bag's popped on the side. Those are replaceable, but yeah, this truck too for what was it? I think it was I don't remember. Let's see what it was. Yeah, for 19,000, I'd say the engine's probably good in it. So. And it has some good parts. It's probably not worth 19 to me. I would never actually buy this one. And there's one below it. It's 12.9. It looks like a rollover too. I mean, people are just rolling these things over. So actually, it looks like it was hit and then maybe did something to the side. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, this one's a little bit too far gone too. This is worse than my truck was. I mean, I thought my truck was bad, but look how far over that fender is. So what I went off of when I bought my truck was that the fender was in line, and all it did look like was that the fender and the hood looked like they were pretty close to the line, and all it did look like was that rail was pushed down a little bit, but ended up that the frame was bad. So this truck, it's a base model too, so it's not really worth it. Let's go to some of the trucks that are not buy it now. And I saw one up here that kind of, actually let's go to the clear title ones. We'll try that. And let's see if we can find some. Let's see, salvage. They're all salvage. Jesus. There's none of them are clear titles on this one. So, man, yeah, none of them are clear titles. There's no 17s right now. F350s are clear titles. That is a disappointment. And this one actually has 2,000 miles on it. Let's check this one out just for funsies. So, and it's a Platy. Oh no, it's a King Ranch. That's not bad. It salvage certificate. What was this? Top roof, farmer's insurance. Okay, it looks like actually this one. What happened to this thing? It almost looks like they must have rolled this thing or something fell on it, like a tree. Yeah, 2,000 miles, that's not bad. They must have rolled it because the airbags went off. If it was a tree or something, it wouldn't have done that. But yeah, look at the roof. It's just tacoed right there. So 18, I mean, if you could get this truck, and you could put a cab on it. It is a King Ranch and it has low miles. It's a 19. If you could get it for under 22, this wouldn't be a bad purchase because the low miles, the engine, is going to be good. If it was something you're going to keep, but it's going to have a salvage title, so that is something to note. And for some reason, all the bags went off, so it must have been driving. So they must have did something with it. And down here, sometimes, so this thing right here, this enhanced vehicles, so I'm going to tell you this now. So it says like they start the car and that it runs, but I would not put it past them not running. So I would be very wary about the enhanced vehicles. Usually the ones you want to look for is runs and drives, and that isn't the clue to how to not get screwed on Copart. That's still coming. So enhanced vehicles is one thing. I'd look for some stuff that says runs and drives, unless you know like the Hellcat. When I bought it, I knew even though it was in a hard wreck, it pretty much shut the intake off. So there's like little clues. So you can see this one. I mean, it looks like the engine's clean, but they also do have a cleaning service at Copart, so they will pressure wash engines and clean interiors if you ask them. And that's also another thing to watch out for. If the engine's clean, that doesn't mean it's a good truck. So let's get out of the F350s. Let's hit up the F250s, and maybe we can find something with a clean title. looking at this 2017 F-250, first thing I noticed was the platinum tailgate in the back. So it looks like it has some damage on the bed right there. It looks like it has some, it might be duct tape. I'm not exactly sure. There's some stuff on the window, but it shows it's a platinum. First thing I noticed after the tailgate was there's no running boards. They usually have the power running boards. They're not there. Also, the interior looks like, you know, the normal platinum interior and everything. So no issue there. Doesn't look like any airbags have popped. The auction usually has a VIN or an auto check. You can view the report, and let's check it out. See what we see on this thing. So looks like it was a theft truck. So it looks like the truck was stolen, and it looks like it has a clean title. It has a loan lien record and a theft record. I mean, that wouldn't be a killer if you bought the truck and try to sell it. But another thing I did notice when I first looked at this truck and the picture first popped up is these headlights. Platinums have LED headlights. This grill doesn't, I don't believe this is a platinum grill. They have like the egg crate grill on the platinums. The bumper's paint match, but it kind of gives me that fishy smell. So I'm wondering what's going on with this thing. It has all the stuff you think would be a platinum, but it doesn't look like it. So I have this other resource, and you guys could use this resource too. It's just a VIN decoder. You go to Ford's website, or you just go to Google. You can decode the VIN number, and if you look right here, you decode the VIN number, and it's a Lariat, not a platinum. So whoever had this truck got all the stuff. It's probably theft, and it was stripped, and they pretty much, you know, got a paint match from bumper. They left the halogen headlights. They left the, I believe this is a normal Lariat grill. They put a platinum tailgate on it, and there's probably no interior, so they put platinum seats in it, and now they're trying to get premium for it because, you know, platinums are a lot more expensive than a Lariat, but this one's a Lariat made to look like a platinum. So this is a precaution you're going to have to watch out for, and you just have to know what to look for. I mean, just because it says something doesn't mean it is. Just use the resources that you have available, and there are plenty of them with the internet. So just be wary that you don't get something and then it isn't what it's supposed to be. So the auction really doesn't care, and they're showing this truck, you know, $60,000, and it's I don't know, they're probably going off the VIN number, but I bet you, because people think this is a platinum, when this thing bids, it's probably gonna go to, because this is the estimated retail value, it'll probably go to like, I don't know, 40 or 50, because people are gonna get crazy over it maybe. This auction right here, I'm not gonna tell you what it is yet, but it does have that thing I am going to tell you how to watch out for, and it's the one simple thing. You look at that and you know instantly that there's some shady stuff going on. So I'm not going to tell you yet, because that's the whole point of this video, but it is in here, and it is very simple. It's in one of these lines on the page right here. Here is another truck, and this one actually doesn't look to be too bad. It's another clean title truck, and it doesn't have too high miles, 46,000 miles. It says it runs and drives, so that's a plus. And we're gonna, you know, it looks like the tire's a little bit flat right there. This side looks like the tire blew out on it. You know, you can see that the tire did blow out because it's all frayed. But it does look like it has LED headlights, so it's probably what it and it doesn't have any weird stuff on the back, so the truck doesn't look too bad. What does it say? Vandalism. So I don't know how it's vandalized when the tire blew out, but we're going to go with, looking at it, it's a King Ranch, so that's probably why it has the LED headlights. And we'll look at the engine. Engine doesn't look too horrible, and everything. It doesn't look like there's a fire. So we're going to go back here, figure out what it's vandalized as. And usually vandalism, sometimes people get in the interior and it's crazy ex-girlfriends and they just like destroy the interior. But I don't see too much on this thing other than that tire, and we'll go with that. So the tires are pretty bald on this thing. Looks like they were, and the exhaust is kind of bent down. Looks like maybe whoever had this thing really didn't have the money to afford it. So this tire blew out, and it looks like maybe they hit something. Maybe the forklift driver hit it. I don't see any vandalism really on this truck. It does have, you can see the power steps right there. See that little line? That's how you tell that those power steps are there. So this one does have power steps. I really don't see any vandalism on this thing. It just looks like whoever had it couldn't afford it. So we'll go with that and just move along. It does look like the interior is decent. Probably would need a good cleaning. It looks pretty grimy, like, and it looks like it has a floor mat though, so that's a plus, and everything. So let's move on to the next truck and figure out some new stuff. But this one has that thing in there that I like to see when I'm buying a truck. So I would, if I could get this truck right here, it's a clean title, 46K. If I could get this truck for 30, 32, 38, this wouldn't be a bad deal right here, especially because it doesn't look like it needs that much, and it doesn't look like, it just looks like whoever had it couldn't afford it. They popped the tire and then they drove on it. Oh, actually, yeah, it looks like they drove on it. So yeah, vandalism, I doubt. Lack of being able to afford it, or maybe it got stolen, is probably what happened. So this would be a truck I'd buy, and I'd pay anywhere from 32 to maybe 40. Who knows? Because this truck is worth 58, 60 grand. So I think that's enough of trucks. Let's check out some Hellcats and see what we can find. So a lot of them are going to be stripped, and they're all in, like, a lot of the ones that are stripped are in Michigan, which is kind of crazy. So we're going to go through, try to find something that's, this one's a 16. See if there's any clean title first. Let's see. Ooh, here's a clear title Texas. That one doesn't look too bad. And let's see what we got on here. There's only one clear title. Oh no, there's two. Here's a wrecked one. That is a clear title. It is a Charger, not a Challenger, but regardless, it's still a clean title. So let's see what we can find on this thing. Ooh, this has what I don't like to see in it. So looks like, I really love that color. I wish mine had that color. It looks like the bag's popped, so that's not that big of a deal because it is wrecked in the front. And we're gonna come through here, check it out. It doesn't look like, let's see what we have going on here. So this car right here, I wouldn't buy. The reason is it has that thing that I had seen before, and usually every time it's on there, it is correct. You don't want to buy one of those cars, or unless you can get it for super dirt cheap, which this one already is at 15 grand. I wouldn't buy it because it looks like the engine is probably knocking. The reason I'm saying that is right here. It says engine start program, but I would not. This does not mean anything. I wouldn't, even though it says engine start program, it's BS. They'll start an engine with zero oil in it, and you can see down here that right there's no oil cooler. So they're without the oil cooler. That's the one issue I didn't start my Hellcat because of, and it's because that when you start it, there's no oil pressure without the oil cooler, and it pretty much destroys the engine. So who knows? This car could be, it could have a good engine, but I'm not going to take the chance on this engine being smoked because there's no oil cooler on it, especially because it looks like it got hit low right there. So you can see right here, all this stuff down here is damaged, and there is that little bar right there that holds the radiator up, and that also is damaged. So it did rip the oil cooler off, most likely, and who knows? They could have drove it, they could have not, but I'm not going to take a chance buying this car because it has the oil cooler gone, and it says, you know, engine start program. It says that thing that I've seen before, and so obviously somebody's had this car before, and they're running it back through the auction because probably the engine's blown up. So let's go and look at something else. Let's look at a good one, even though it has they have salvage tiles. Let's see, this one right here has been on there forever for 43. Let's see, here's an 18. Ooh, here's an 18. Let's check this one out. Oh, that's a Charger though. That one's pretty hammered. This one is pretty hammered. I probably wouldn't buy this. I'd probably buy it for parts. I like those seats. Every time I look at cars, I'm just like, man, that's tight. 4,400 miles. The engine looks nice. It doesn't look. It looks like the oil cooler right there is down, but it doesn't look like it's broken off. So I don't think that would be an issue. It does say enhanced vehicles, and so this one is kind of in that gray area. I can't actually see the oil cooler on this, and it says enhanced vehicles means they started it. So the one thing I only have to go off of is that the ducting is intact. So I'm hoping the lines are, but the lines are on the bottom, which is kind of, you just have to kind of know how the parts are fitted to the car. So the lines are on the bottom, could have ripped the lines off, but they're usually at the auction when, see, it says that thing that I like to see on cars that I'm going to buy, and right here, when they take pictures, they really don't care, and there would be a puddle of oil. So I don't think this thing has a ripped oil cooler. I feel like it'd be, you know, fine to buy if you needed an engine, but the fact is it is pretty hammered to fix this thing. Plus, it has a salvage title. It's hammered like on every angle, every side has something. This side looks like it's all right, but yeah, this isn't a car I'd buy just because the fact it's too destroyed. All right, here we go. Here's an 18 Challenger wide body, just like mine. It looks like it is looks like it's hitting the front, just like mine was. The one thing that you guys really need to know about. So, if you're going to buy a car, this one has what I like to see in it on the listing. So I wouldn't, you know, be wary of it, and looks like, you know, the front end isn't too badly hurt. The hood right there, the hood line looks good. The gaps right there look good on both sides, and the oil cooler is still bolted to the support. I mean, this car doesn't look like it's too hammered to fix, and the back really looks good. Looks like they have the floor mats out of it. I don't know why. But yeah, looks like it's decent. Looks like all the damage is to the front. It doesn't even look like you would need fenders, which is awesome. So this one looks like it's in a lot better shape than mine was. The tires on it look a lot more worn. It only has 6,000 miles on it. But the one thing to note is if you're going to buy this car, so the one thing I hate, so you can see the seats, they have the bag popped. You can send them in to get fixed, which, you know, is, I'm kind of in that gray area. I'd rather have a brand new seat than having it re-sewn, because that would kind of sketch me out. But the fact is this interior is nice right here. The car has, what, 6,000 miles on it, and the back seats, they look nice right there. But the fact is, if you buy this car and you see all this stuff right here, the bumper, all that stuff, they are literally, so all this bumper, all the headlights, anything that's not attached to the car that's laying in front of the car, or these floor mats, which really don't matter about that because they're not that bad, but they are going to smash all these parts right here inside the car. They're going to make them fit.
It's something I hate. I literally hate that they do it. But they will smash every single part. They'll smash the bumper in there. They don't care if they tear seats. All they care about is getting all this stuff in this car. So when you buy it, it's in there. So I don't know why they do it with bumpers that are destroyed, but they did this stuff. Like, it would be good to have this headlight and this little flare right here, but they literally smash all this in there. So be wary of that. If you see a big pile of parts, just know it's going to be inside the car, and it's probably going to damage some interior components, and you're going to have some scuffs, scratches, or tears in seats. So just be, that's one thing I really don't like to see. Other than that, this car doesn't look too bad. It says engine start program, so I mean, it probably is okay. I don't see any leaks from the oil cooler. The oil cooler is still attached, and everything. So I most likely, and it's 32 already. It's almost more than I paid for mine, but it is straighter. I mean, it's a tough one. I maybe bid 35, but then all that stuff's going to be smashed in there, and you're going to have some issues. But I do like the car. It is definitely something that's fixable. You can see a little wrinkle in the fender right there. That might have just been because something hit it. When you have these cars in the insurance auto auction lots, they do get damage on them sometimes. So I'd say this is probably just from actually, something hit it after the wreck. It doesn't look like the actual fender. If the fender was messed up, it would have some stuff on the top, right on that line. But that right there doesn't look that's big of a. It doesn't look like it's that big of a deal. Also, this line right here is still all right. So let's. And people were wondering about the flared fenders. So this is what they look like. They are wider. The fenders are wider to fit the wider wheels, because the cars do have 305s on them. So now you can see what they look like. The fenders are definitely wider. So let's go to something else. And this does have like what I like to see. So other than all this stuff in the front, and if I could get it for a decent price, the only bad thing it having a salvage title, yeah, that's what we got to go with. And let's look for another car. So next car we're going to look at is a Lamborghini. And the one thing I noticed first is the passenger side radiator is missing. And this support right here, this bottom rail, it does look to me to be straight. It's hard to tell in pictures. That's one thing about pictures. It's very hard to tell. But I believe it's straight just because of the fact that these lines right here on the fender and the hood are straight as well, and the bumper does stick out. So I doubt that it actually hit this hard enough to do any significant damage. It could have, but it's hard to say without actually going to look at it and measure it. But they probably hit something low, which damages radiator, and now the radiator is gone, because once it goes to the body shop, they usually just throw that stuff away if they don't keep it in the car. And I doubt they're going to keep a broken radiator in a Lamborghini. So we're going over to this side. Still looks good. It doesn't look like there's too much damage. It has really low miles. Most Lamborghinis do 3,000 miles. It does have a salvage title, which is an issue with the Lamborghini. Even though this car is a $321,000 estimate retail, the actual value that you could end up selling this after you fixed it would be extremely significantly less. So I would this would be a car that you could fix, and it'd be a fun car to drive. But you probably, it's $96,000 is the current bid. It still has 8 days. It's probably going to go for like around 150, which is still a lot of money for a wrecked car. But this, I definitely would buy this car if went for the right price. I'd rather have one with a clean title. That is one major factor. If I'm going to buy a Lamborghini, I want it to have a clean title, even if I'm going to have to fix it when it's damaged. This one doesn't look like it's too hard of a fix, which is a plus. The front bumpers are pretty expensive. Other than that, it looks like it's all right. It doesn't say it runs and drives, which is kind of strange. So that may be something. There could be some undercarriage damage on this thing. It could have broke the tranny. Trannies are expensive, and it could have broke the pan. It could have a bad engine. It's just hard to say. So this one, it wouldn't be a bad buy, but it's kind of in that gray area where I don't know if I would buy it, just because it doesn't say it runs and drives, and it is pretty straight where it should. But also, they do have that system on the Lamborghinis that when you do get an accident, when the airbags go off, it pops that fuse in the main fuse box, which cuts all the power. So that also could be, and we will never know. I don't believe this stuff illuminates when that fuse is popped. So, and that's it's kind of one thing. It's kind of a shoot in the dark, but this does have that thing that I like to see. So who knows? That's not always a 100%. It's just that somebody hasn't had their hands on the car other than the insurance. So I think this is a good car to tell you what that is, and what the trick to knowing that a car is that hasn't gone through the auction before, and somebody hasn't tried to fix it to make it appear to be better than it is if you come over here. This is on Copart. I haven't really had any issues with any other sites. It seems like Copart is really, really bad with this this whole shady thing that people have going on, where they literally will get a car that is clean title or salvage title and totaled, and they'll pull it and do all kinds of stuff, and they'll paint fenders. There was a Lamborghini on here that was literally, the back half of it was a green wrap, and I think Cletus had it in his video. The back half was a green wrap, and they paint matched all the front stuff, and it was just literally destroyed. They made all the panels look like they fit, but they paint matched the wrap, and the car was like white or gray or something. Like when you open the doors, you can see that it was wrapped. So it's just kind of some shady stuff going on Copart. But the thing to look for, I'm going to tell you right now, it's this right here, sales status. So the sales status is the one essential thing. When you open a page on Copart, you literally, this is the first thing you want to look at. You already can see if it has a salvage or clear title before you even pop the car open on the page, and the sales status is the main thing. If this thing says pure sale, it means that it's a pure sale. Insurance companies don't care usually what they get for cars. They'll run everything through pure sale. If it's a pure sale car, whatever it goes for is what it goes for. So this $96,000, if that was the last person to bid, that's what this car would go for, $96,000. So this is the one thing. Insurance companies do not care. That most of the time they don't care about what the car goes for. They just run through the auctions. They have so many cars, they don't have time to keep track of this and that. They know that the car is going to bring a good price because people are going to bid on it. They run them all pure sale. So I'll show you now what I'm talking about back on that Hellcat that I don't like to see. And or I could find another car. Maybe I'll look for another Lambo. But pure sale is what you want to see when you're bidding on a car, unless you really know what you're looking for, or unless you just need a parts car. So let's find another car, then I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So here is a Ferrari 458, and it has that thing that I've been talking about. So I showed you the pure sale one. That is the one you really want to look for. And those aren't, it doesn't mean it's 100% going to be good, but it means it's never been touched before. And the issue with companies actually, or people getting cars and they kind of fix them really badly to make them look presentable in pictures. So it doesn't look like this is one of those cars that is made to look presentable in pictures, but it does have that thing. So I never buy anything that says minimum bid, because that means it's not being sold from an insurance company, and unless it goes really cheap, there's no reason to buy it. So that means somebody bought it from the auction, they got it, it was too bad that they didn't want to fix it, so they're reselling it. So minimum bids, or reserves, or there's all kinds of different things, but you want to look for the ones that say pure sale mostly. that's going to get you in, the best car that your money can buy if you know what to look for in the first place, because you know that the insurance company isn't going to make a car look presentable. Like I said before, I don't believe this is one of those cars that is made to look presentable. It just was bought and maybe it was too bad to fix. And this is being sold by like some company. So I'm guessing they fix damaged supercars and they didn't want to fix this one. So we're gonna kind of look at this thing. You can see that it has some extensive damage to the bumper and the side, and over here it doesn't look like the back is damaged. That wheel looks like it's pushed forward pretty far from the wheel arch. So I mean, it kind of looks like it may have got some rear end damage, or maybe that wheel just took a blow by itself. And over here it kind of looks like the bumper shifted over that way. So I mean, this isn't one of those cars that is made to look presentable because it looks like they just didn't want to fix it. So it's probably a car I wouldn't want to buy. All right, so I found a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So they don't always look the same, and they're not always, it's always different. But most of the time, it's front end collisions. I've seen quarter panels done where they literally have gotten a quarter panel skin and glued it to the top of the other quarter panel and like sprayed it really bad and then try to run it through. And it looks great in pictures. You can't even really tell. But this one is a little bit easier to tell. And you can see that it says minimum bid right there. And right when I see that, I start looking. And it looks like the car was just hit in the front. And some people would be like, oh man, that's not that bad. Because literally it looks like, it looks like it needs a bumper. It looks like it doesn't look like it's that bad. But if you know what to look for, right there, you can see it looks like they straightened the hood out. And the bumper was probably off the car, like the Hellcat I showed you earlier. And what they do is, if you look right here, because they won't open the hood for you. So most of the time the hoods won't open or they won't do anything. You can see that the support right there is super far back. It's super smashed right there. See, it's supposed to be a lot straighter. The car was hit on this side. So this whole side is most likely, I'm going on a limb right here because they don't pop the hood on this one, but most likely this whole side got smashed in really hard. All this metal right here is destroyed. And you can see that the fender looks like it's been straightened out a lot. And there's like this weird thing right there. And the headlight was kind of stuck back in there. But what they do is they make the car look presentable. So this car, it doesn't look like it's that destroyed. But if you do look back in here, you can see that everything's tilted back and it looks like they just stuck the bumper on there. But if you don't know what to look for, that's why I'm making this video, to show you guys what to look for so you don't get into this predicament where you, like, this whole side of this car needs to have all the metal replaced because the bumper was just stuck on it and you thought that the car was still fixable, where this one is it's fixable, but I would never buy this thing. This thing is going to be it's going to be burning a hole in your pocket because you're going to be trying to fix all this stuff that is going to cost way more than you actually expected it to fix, because of this shady thing that Copart is letting go on with people running destroyed stuff back through that they half fixed to make look presentable. So be wary of these cars. This is what I've really been trying to make this video about, and why I think it's important that I made this video. So my subscribers, a lot of people seem interested in actually pursuing to buy cars from the auction and fix them up because they have watched my videos. And I don't want you guys to get into something that is more work because somebody else just wanted to make a few, $1,000. So just be wary of these cars. If it says minimum bid, I would most likely not bid on it. I don't bid on them. So, even if they say on approval, stuff like that, that's all the same thing as minimum bid. But yeah, be very wary of them. And buy now cars, be wary of them too. Just make sure to look those ones over. And sometimes they're a really good deal, like my truck and the Hellcat. But the issue with this thing is both my truck and the Hellcat were pure sale things, and I knew exactly what I was getting into when I bought them, other than the truck needing a frame, but that was not that big of a deal. So that is pretty much it. Just watch out for this minimum bid thing. Make sure you know your stuff, know the parts, check VIN numbers to make sure they're what they're supposed to be. Like that Platinum F350, it said minimum bid. I'll go to it really quick before I end this video. Here's that F250 that I showed you guys earlier. And the first thing I noticed before I even noticed the headlights and the running boards and the tailgate was that it said minimum bid. And that's what really got me on looking at this thing hard. If it says minimum bid, if it doesn't say pure sale, watch out for it. I definitely recommend, if you're not super into rebuilding something, if you don't want to get yourself in over your head, I'd buy pure sale only and not even deal with these minimum bids or on approvals or anything like that, because it's not coming from the insurance. So yeah, this thing is a Lariat made to look like a Platinum. It's a prime example of what I was talking about. That Subaru is a prime example. They're just two different stages of prime examples. The Subaru was a wrecked one. This was a theft one. So just be wary and you know, get some cool projects. And the auction is a great place to get them. Just be careful of what you're getting. It's all a game.
So that is the end of this video, and I hope it was very informative, because a lot of people were asking me to make a video about how I buy cars from the auction. And you know, that whole minimum bid thing, make sure you watch out for that. I would only buy cars that are pure sale, unless it's something you really, really want or you need for parts. Then I would, you know, look into minimum bids. But other than that, they are a very, very unethical, shady, you know, gray area of the auction site. And I would really watch out for them. So I hope this video helped you guys. I hope you guys get something cool to build. I'm really excited to be building the Hellcat now. And if you haven't watched the videos, there is a link to the playlist, and go check it out, because the Hellcat is coming together. I am working on the frame now. I'm making a jig because I can't find a frame machine. So it is going to come together in the next week, and we'll see exactly how fun it is to drive coming up. And I want to get that thing ready for grid life. Hopefully it is ready in time. So I hope you like the videos. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, smash that subscribe button. Give me a comment below what you thought of the video, and see you in the next episode.